sometime in September 1885, Fanny Stevenson, wife of Robert Louis Stevenson, awoke to the sound of her husband screaming and writhing in bed beside her. Indignantly, she woke him. "Why did you wake me?" he barked. "I was dreaming a fine bogey tale." The nightmare-afflicted author was at a difficult point in his life. The couple were in Bournemouth, where he was recovering from a fresh bout of tuberculosis and being prescribed cocaine to ease the pain of his bleeding lungs. But his nightmare had shown him the horrific transformation of a man into the monstrous embodiment of his own capacity for evil, and Stevenson immediately saw its potential as a story. In a frenzy of effort, and despite his debilitating illness, Stevenson wrote the first draft of The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in 3 days, sitting up in bed. Then, as was his custom, he showed it to his most trusted critic, his wife. Whether on moral or aesthetic grounds we will never know, Fanny dismissed the story vehemently, and Stevenson burned that first draft. Undaunted, he then wrote feverishly for another 3 days and mapped out the novel we now know, a massive success on its publication and a famous addition to the canon of horror in English literature and popular culture. But what of that destroyed first draft? What exactly did Fanny take exception to? In the published novel, set in London, Hyde's evil is more hinted at than seen, and the whole dark tale is recounted by Utterson, the dry lawyer, through papers, diaries, and letters. But in 2016, knowing the twist in the tale after 130 years of films, books, and graphic novels inspired by Stevenson's story, we are still hungry for gothic thrills and all too aware of what the real nature of evil can be. So let us return to Stevenson's own Edinburgh in the novel's year of publication and see how much of a mirror it holds up to our own times.
My name is Lorna Utterson. I am a lawyer in all but name. It is raining, pitch dark, and I am standing outside Edinburgh's Calton Jail about to kill 3 men in cold blood. It is the only way to save my friend's life, because I now know the real secret of Dr. Henry Jekyll.
Move away, Christabel!
Lorna!
Lorna, no!
The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. Dramatised by Neil Brand.
My story begins in Edinburgh, in the 49th year of Victoria's reign. In our proud city, we are renowned chiefly for 2 occupations: medicine and experimentation.
Superb supper, Sir James.
Gentlemen, we have brandy and port.
Your cellar is always excellent, Sir James.
Here.
Sir James Ransom's dinner parties are the peak of any Edinburgh man's career. They are the power by which the masters of commerce, their sons, and the elite of Edinburgh, worthy and unworthy alike, control the city. They are the regular meeting place of a cabal within which the unsayable can be said and the unthinkable put into vigorous action.
As I say, brandy and port. Or, courtesy of my brilliant friend, Dr. Craig Denniston, we have an alternative source of refreshment.
Exhibit 1. Sir James Ransom, chairman of the Edinburgh Free Hospital, owner of mines and factories whose yearly profits are dwarfed by the income from his vast pharmaceutical concerns.
I see, Denniston, what's under the tray cover? Chocolates? Sweetmeats?
Gentlemen, I have prepared a pipe of opium for each of us.
Yes. Now, this is outrageous. Poisonous stuff.
On the contrary, Carew, my honourable colleague Sir Robert Christensen recommended one to the Queen at Balmoral only last week.
Come now, most of us here are medical men. How many of you have not tried your own drugs before?
Certainly not.
You ex-high sheriffs are a dull lot.
Then, Carew, you are welcome to my excellent brandy. Pass me a pipe, please, Cole.
I used opium in India. It's good stuff.
Here, let me light your pipe. Takes a while to catch, in my experience.
Exhibit 2. The Honourable Dr. Craig Denniston, one of the eccentric cogs of the Edinburgh financial machine. Chief Medical Officer of Craig Lockhart Hospital, which supplies goods and patients for all his recreational needs.
There's barely a dinner party in Newtown that doesn't end with smoke these days.
Is it no addictive?
Not if you've got some backbone, man. No more than drink.
Or women, eh, Cole? Jekyll, will you take a pipe?
I won't, Sir James.
No more than you'll take women, eh, Jekyll?
That's uncalled for, Denniston.
Exhibit 3, Dr. Henry Jekyll, MD, DCL, LLD, Fellow of the Royal Society. Easily the most distinguished scientist and thinker at this baleful gathering.
Oh, come on, Jekyll. You can't spend all your time amongst the drugs and lunatics, you know.
It's not for the want of trying, gentlemen. I simply have not yet discovered the right one.
There is no right one, Jekyll, until it comes to marriage. Just the available one.
Talking of which, anybody had any luck with Christabel Campbell yet?
Exhibit 4, Arthur Kincaid, owner of the largest railway yards in Edinburgh. Currently financially embarrassed after some reckless investments.
Aiming high, eh, Kincaid?
Why not? Takes a man's mind off the bloody debts.
Yes. I've been hearing you're taking some hard knocks.
Worst thing is I can't get the workers at the yards. Not at reasonable rates. Well, perhaps that's because your yards are death traps. Oh, not now, Carew. Oh, well, when then, Kincaid? How about in the sheriff's court? Huh? Would you threaten me?
Gentlemen, this is a conversation for another time, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ransom.
Exhibit 5, Sir Danvers Carew, retired High Sheriff, Justice of the Peace, and, with the exception of Jekyll, the only decent human being around this table. And now the drink and smoke are taking hold.
Christabel Campbell is easily the most desirable woman in Edinburgh. Has never had a beau.
That's why she's desirable.
And beat me hollow at single stick last week. Caught me a cut across the face, then nearly broke my hand shaking it.
She's a Tom, isn't she? Dresses like a man, shoots too.
I'll wager my salary she's no Tom.
Are you smitten, Kincaid?
I must admit, I am. So's every man in Edinburgh.
Not you, though, eh, Jekyll?
Oh, not at all, Sir James.
She has a delightful friend. Lisa.
Lorna, Utterson.
Oh, Jekyll, you're blushing.
Jekyll, you old dog.
So, what do you do for pleasure, Jekyll?
I work, Denniston.
That's a prim answer. We all work.
Denniston.
You don't hunt, shoot, fish, no sports, no women, no vices at all. It's inhuman, man.
I am perfectly contented.
Oh, yes? You jump at shadows, you stammer like a beaten housemaid, you have few, if any, friends.
Denniston, you're a drunken bore.
How dare you, Carew?
This is envy talking, pure and simple. Jekyll is 10 times the scientist you are, 20 times the doctor, and 100 times the humanitarian.
Gentlemen, that's enough.
When you're out carousing and womanizing, Jekyll is probably in his laboratory.
Can't Jekyll speak for himself? Does he need you clucking after him like a mother
If I was
hen?
10 years younger, I'd punch some sense into
Sir
that.
Danvers. Thank you for your supportive words, Sir Danvers. Denniston,
Aye, Jekyll.
I'll take a pipe if I may.
Don't do it for him, Jekyll.
I'm not. I'm curious.
Here. Allow me.
Poor Jekyll. Brilliant mind, brilliant doctor, scientist, moral philosopher, and so desperate to be somebody, anybody else.
Jekyll, you God's own fool!
If we were to ascend in a balloon from this pretty party in George Square, we would see with exceptional clarity in the clear moonlight the well-appointed new town toward the Firth of Forth, with its rich house owners, Georgian squares and broad streets. And there, across the silver thread of the railway line, under the skirts of Castle Rock, lies dark, fetid, wicked old town. And away from the city, clinging to the mighty Forth, the beating heart of Edinburgh commerce, the broad expanse of Kincaid's railway yards by Leith dockyards. Here the trucks roll unpropelled down inclines day and night, pitching over points into a score of sidings and warehouses. Trucks tended by swarthy figures who run alongside, changing points, every now and then leaping onto the rolling iron wagons to apply the brakes. And sometimes, fatally, missing their footing. And in the mind of poor Henry Jekyll, walking unsteadily home from another night of humiliation and self-hatred at Sir James Ransom's house, a plan is alive and poised for action.
Is that delivery for you, sir?
Oh, at last. Well, it's much smaller than I expected. Bring it here. Now, set it down gently. Yeah.
Thomas Alva Edison.
The American genius who has discovered how to preserve the human voice on this machine.
How?
On these wax cylinders. You know what that means?
What?
I can record my observations. No more written notes. No more deciphering unreadable doggerel at the end of a long day.
Oh, no more need for me then, eh?
Oh, I always need you, Paul. See this tube? Pick it up. And when I say go, speak into it. Right. Go.
What do I say?
Oh, I don't know. Recite a poem.
Oh, I don't know any poems.
Well, say something.
There once was a butcher and he lived in by Creef. Along came a lassie and she was buying beef. You get to her the middle cut and down she did fall, and the wind blew.
Yeah, all right, that'll do. All right. Now then.
Go. What do I say? Oh, I don't know. Recite a poem? Oh, I don't know any poems. Well, say something. There once was a butcher and he lived in by
Bless my soul.
This is all I need to finish my work, Paul. All I need.
Ah, yes, his work. The work that occupies his every waking moment.
My name is Dr. Henry Jekyll, MD, Doctor of Civil Law, LLD, Fellow of the Royal Society. My area of expertise is the brain and its deficiencies, specifically the shaping of personality, possible multiple personalities by processes in the brain.
Work that has consumed him for 2 long years, often left him furious and frustrated at 2 a.m. in his darkened laboratory.
No! Not again!
Work that has taken him time and again to the Royal Edinburgh Asylum in Morningside, renowned for its humane therapeutic treatment of the mentally ill.
Caroline, Dr. Jekyll's here to see you.
Caroline, can you hear me?
Who are you?
You know me.
I know you not, good sir.
So, who are you today?
Lady Craig Miller, of course, awaiting the return of my husband from Stirling.
The Battle of Stirling? William Wallace?
Of course.
Has your husband been away long?
3 long years.
And, Caroline, have you been good whilst he's been away?
No, I have not.
Why? What have you done?
I have taken my stable boy to my bed.
And what is the boy's name?
Anthony?
It's her lover, Doctor.
Show me the notes. Who sent her here?
Her husband. Found her with the boy.
Caroline, what will you say to your husband when he returns?
I'll say,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm so very sorry.
With every day, and from both sides of my intelligence, the moral and the intellectual,
I draw steadily nearer to that truth. That man is not truly one, but truly two.
It's all right, my dear. Here, have my handkerchief.
She shouldn't be here.
I know.
I will put in an immediate application to Sir James Ransom to have her released to her own family. She is not going back to that man.
Until then?
Let her live in her head as Lady Craigmiller. It's obviously a happier place than here.
This work has left him brooding time and again, on long nighttime walks through the old town, heading nowhere in particular.
If each of my two natures can but be housed in separate identities, life would be relieved of all that was unbearable. The unjust might go his way, and the just could walk steadfastly and securely on his upward path, doing the good things in which he found his pleasure.
Hello, mister. That's a nice hat.
Well, thank you.
I don't see many gentlemen down this way.
No.
I think I can guess why you're here.
Can you?
5 shillings buys you the best night of your life.
I can't.
Go on. You've got 5 bob. 10 buys you special extras.
No, please, I can't. I can't do what you...
Bye, mister. Same time next week, eh?
And so once again, Henry Jekyll returns to the only thing he excels at, the work.
When I am under the strong influence of the compound that may separate my warring natures, I cannot write and cannot trust Poole with my secrets. Now I can work alone and dictate vital information about my perceptions and cognitive functions into the machine for as long as I remain conscious.
The work. Work which will reach completion tonight.
This is the largest dose I will have taken, and I do not expect it to work any better than the previous 30 attempts. I have prepared a syringe with 80 milliliters of the resulting chemical, and will inject it directly into the artery at the crook of my left arm. As I thought, no effect whatsoever. I still see clearly. There is no sense of my mind clouding, only a slight tingle I have not felt before, which is beginning at the base of my spine and rising to my head. God, help me! I can't see. No! Vile, retching.
No. Wait. Light. Dawning light. The laboratory. I feel wonderful. My hands. They are not my hands. Covered in thick hairs. I'm touching my face. Oh, my Lord.
6 months have passed, and we are in the dour, austere offices of Utterson and Pembury on Drummond Street. Mr. Arthur Utterson, the lawyer, is a man of rugged countenance that is never lighted by a smile. Backward in sentiment, lean, long, dusty, dreary, and yet somehow lovable. He was not always like this. Once he fought for justice for those who had none. I know this all too well. for I am his daughter. Although unable in these unenlightened times to officiate as a lawyer myself, I have, by dint of study and my father's good offices, all the expertise necessary to become indispensable to him in his business, which becomes harder with each passing day.
You're changing your will?
You must be mad, Jekyll.
Lorna, how dare you?
It's all right, Utterson.
You're a man of considerable means. Sir, I know you have no family, but why in the name of heaven would you leave your fortune to a stranger?
He is not a stranger to me, Miss Utterson. As the wording of the will states, my friend and benefactor...
Dr. Jekyll has the right to dispose of his estate as he sees fit, Lorna.
And we would be failing in our duty to him if we allowed him to pursue such a foolish course of action. Who is this Edward Hyde?
A man I would trust with my life. That is all you need to know.
A work colleague, a student, a relative?
That's enough.
A work colleague. A man as central to my studies as I am myself.
And do these studies threaten your life? Is that why you're altering your will in his favour?
No. Not I'm aware of, but I do rely on him to pursue them if, for any reason, I am unable to.
And what exactly are these studies?
I am bringing this meeting to an end. Lorna, you are an insufferable harpy.
I am acutely aware of that, Father, but may I point out that you did ask me to assist you?
I did?
You did. Dr. Jekyll, would you have any objection to my requesting that Mr. Hyde present himself at this office at a time mutually convenient for you both, with his credentials, so that we can at least look over the man to whom we will be discharging our responsibility for your estate?
I will see if that can be arranged.
Good. Shall we say tomorrow?
But evening for preference.
Certainly.
I may not be able to attend personally, but I will do my best to see that he presents himself here.
Well, I hope he's grateful, at the very least.
Grateful?
I know nobody who would trust me to be their sole heir. Not even my father.
Oh, that is not true.
I doubt he is that grateful.
Really? Then is he blackmailing you?
Why don't you ask him tomorrow? Good day to you both.
I will. Good day, Doctor.
Good day, Miss Utterson.
That was intolerable.
There was a time when you would have insisted on such precautions yourself, Father.
Enough. Get the draft agreement you drew up for Chatterton. He wants it tonight.
It's here. I added a clause about the drainage.
Good, good.
And also...
Yes?
I wish to pursue a case against Arthur Kincaid.
I beg your pardon?
A child has been killed in the Kincaid yards, only 10 years old. I've asked Christabel Campbell to accompany me to Cowgate to talk to his mother.
Oh, out of the question.
Christabel is quite prepared to help. She's well able to look after herself. I will be perfectly safe.
You will not go near that awful place. Lorna, do you hear me?
Father, we have only days to make a case.
What case?
That Kincaid is using child labour in his yards.
Oh, I don't believe it.
Billy McNair was seen going to the yards every night for weeks before he died, but his friends are too frightened to talk. We have no material witnesses to bring to court except Billy's mother.
I do not sanction this.
Sir Danvers Carew is looking for evidence to indict Kincaid. The people of Cowgate deserve representation. You've been their champion before.
The people in Cowgate are the scum of the earth.
That is not how you used to think of them.
Do not tell me how I used to think. And would you take a note to your mother for me, please?
Oh, no, not again.
You will not go to the Cowgate, whether you take that bizarre Christabel Campbell with you or not. If Sir Danvers Carew wishes us to prosecute this case, we will have to fight it on such evidence as we already have. And that's an end to it. Now, please, run home and give this to your mother. I wish her to call in here on her way to Lady Blakely's.
Father.
Now, if you please.
Mother's dead, sir. You remember? We talked about it.
Oh, yes. Ah, of course.
Cowgate is the destitute portion of the city. Squeamish Edinburgh leaps over it with bridges. So Cowgate's inhabitants are morally and geographically the lower orders. They keep to their own quarters and seldom come up to the light of day. Thank God for my friend Christabel Campbell, swordswoman, firebrand, and easily the match of any man in the city.
Whatever makes you think they'll be home? It's the middle of the day.
I don't know, Christabel. I just know I'm not going down into the cowgate at night.
Whatever that day!
Where are you stepping, you pampoles?
Go on, bile your heat, you dauber!
Christabel!
Oh, he'd have got worse than that if I'd been alone. Didn't want to soil your sensitive ears.
So, are you ready to look over the parapet?
Oh, my stars.
Huddles of grey, formless houses around narrow, filthy alleyways. Through it, a single wide thoroughfare on which people seem to sleepwalk, or simply sit, motionless.
You sure about this?
Christabel, my father fought all his life for people such as these, and now his mind is departing. They are losing their champion, so please, come with me.
Well, I have 2 pistols and a riding crop.
Over-equipped, I'd say.
I do not intend to end my days down there.
Right.
The stone steps down from the wealthy bustle of George IV Bridge are steep and slippery. As we 2 fine Edinburgh ladies descended, so the miasma rose to greet us. A stale scent of rotten fruit and flesh, of human and animal waste.
Here, have my handkerchief. I brought 2.
The cottage is down the street away.
Oh, I can barely see, my eyes are watering.
Yet as we exotic creatures from the world above picked our way between the foul detritus that littered the streets, a no less exotic creature bounded elegantly towards us in the opposite direction. A shortish creature with a strange, slightly loping gait, an intense expression in a not unhandsome face. A cape held tight about the slim figure and a velvet top hat perched at a jaunty angle.
Do you see him? I don't believe it. What's such a dandy doing here?
And as the curious-looking gentleman approached, a bemused and sickly child emerged from a side alley and wandered into his path. Without breaking step, the man trampled calmly over the child's body, leaving her screaming on the ground.
Oh, dear God!
He's not stopping. He's not.
Like a damn juggernaut! After him!
Christabel, be careful!
Martha! Oh, my God, Martha, what have they done to you? Fetch a doctor! Someone fetch a doctor! My poor child!
I saw it! It's the one with the topper!
Sir! You, sir! Stand your ground at once!
Christabel, no!
You will stand, sir.
How dare you! How dare you strike my friend after what you just did to that child?
I didn't mean to...
Strike a woman, would you?
Oh!
You'll think before you do that again, you crooked devil.
Where is he? I've got sharp nails. I'll tear his bloody face up.
Whoa, my God! I can make recompense to you and the child.
Who are you?
He's a broker.
Broker? What do you mean, broker?
He's known round here. I am known. I have friends here. I'm sorry about the child. I have episodes when I am not properly conscious. What's happened here?
Here, please, look at my poor child.
I was shocked. I reacted instinctively. Please forgive me. I can make recompense.
He's weeping.
Lie still. She has a broken leg. I'll make her comfortable and then get her to the infirmary. How did this happen?
That deal walked over it.
Walked?
He also struck my friend.
Who struck back very satisfyingly.
Stand up and face me, sir. What is your name? I can make a reckon. Your name, sir, your name. I intend to report this to the authorities. That will not be necessary. I have pen and account book here.
Account book?
£100, broker.
What?
That's what I want. He's got it. We all know he's got it. Get to the doctor. He can give me the cash and I'll be satisfied.
This man cannot be allowed to buy his way out of this.
£200. One for the child's family, one for your practice, Doctor. I don't doubt you can use it.
You bastard.
And now, good day to you. Someone help me get this child up the steps to a car.
You can't just let him walk away.
The cheque. It'll have his name on it.
Of course.
Doctor, let us help you.
Thank you, ladies. Much appreciated.
Do you know that man?
I've seen him before. I wouldn't say I know him.
What name is the cheque drawn upon?
See for yourself. It's not a name I know. Yes, that's it.
Oh,
God. Henry Jekyll. So, it's blackmail then. Poor Henry.
We walked on to the cramped hovel in which Billy McNair's poor mother lived out a squalid existence with 8 other people. It used to be 9.
Mrs. McNair. I don't know anything.
We're trying to help.
You can't help my Billy.
No. But we can find out if Billy was unlawfully killed, and if he was, bring those responsible to trial.
You'll never do it. We shit of a girl. Don't stand a chance against him.
How long had he been working at Kincaid's Yards?
I don't know where he went at night.
Did Billy have friends who worked with him?
Billy had plenty of friends. He was a nice boy.
Did any of them see what happened?
I don't know anything.
Lorna.
Excuse me. What is it?
Expensive tea they have round here.
What do you mean?
Look what I found in the teapot.
My stars!
There's nearly £50 in here.
You give me that. That's my money.
Where did you get it?
It's none of your business. Get out of my house. Get out!
Mrs. McNair, don't you want to see the man who killed Billy brought to trial?
You can't help my Billy. Nobody can. They'll leave me be.
Henry Jekyll's name on a stranger's cheque. £50 in a teapot belonging to a destitute woman. A gentleman paying fortunes in Cowgate. And Kincaid's Yards, where a child could lose his life at dead of night and nobody questioned the cause. At the appointed hour of 6, I sat in my father's office, awaiting Edward Hyde and some answers. The noise of traffic died away outside. The clock ticked on to 7, 8 o'clock. At the same time, half a mile away, the plump figure of the Honourable Dr. Craig Denniston walks unsteadily across the Waverley Bridge, puffing like the Glasgow Express that is passing with rather less effort below him. Approaching him, down the slope from the Royal Mile, is a top-hatted figure, cape held tight around him.
Denniston!
Who the hell are you?
My name is Edward Hyde.
So?
You don't know me? Recognise my voice?
Any reason I should?
No, not particularly. Do you like brandy?
Get out of my way.
Or is Scotch more your tipple?
Hang on, I know that stammer.
I guess Scotch. Here.
Oh, God, my head.
Oh, you smell like a distillery, Denniston. But then you always were a lousy doctor. The family bought you your MD, and the poor tortured inmates at Craig Lockhart have paid for it ever since. What exactly do you do to them apart from purloining their drugs? Fornicate with them?
What do you do?
Have a good look down there. Craig, old chum. That's the Stirling train. It'll be here in less than a minute. Just time to tell you who I am.
I'm going to be sick.
I'm Henry Jekyll.
What the hell are you talking about? You're nothing like him.
I'm Jekyll with the good bits taken out. I'm a creature of chemistry, Denniston. About as wicked as it's possible for a man to be. And I hate your guts. And yet, do you know, it's possible for me to be Jekyll and Hyde at the same time. So at the same time as Hyde decides to do this...
No!
Henry Jekyll notes the delight with which the deed is carried out. The blood-stained bounce of the body under the wheels of the engine. The satisfaction with which the bully is repaid in full.
Even the poetic ingenuity of ensuring that the death is attributed to overindulgence in liquor. The shame and the guilt and the terror will come later.
But even that will pass.
Miss Utterson?
Edward Hyde, I presume. The broker.
Indeed.
You're late.
Oh, my apologies. I had to help a colleague onto a train.
You had better sit down.
Thank you. So, what can I do for you?
You seem remarkably sanguine, Hyde. Given that I witnessed you injure a child, assault my friend, and gain yourself freedom from prosecution by bribery in broad daylight.
That, if I may say so, is only one view of the situation.
There is another. What are those?
Look at the name on the tin.
Henry Jekyll.
Those pills you hold in your hand come from no pharmaceutical manufacturer. They are created only in Henry Jekyll's laboratory. Last year, the Austrian bacteriologist Anton Weisselbaum succeeded in isolating the bacterial virus causing meningitis, the greatest killer of our age after tuberculosis. I am a carrier.
Good God.
But thanks to Jekyll, the effects of the disease have slowed. I don't have much time, but with those pills, I have more time than I did.
Why would he help you? Why would he make you his sole heir?
Because I am the broker. I lend to the poor.
Usurer, you mean?
Not at all. I do not charge for my services, nor do I expect to collect.
How very generous.
Thank you. I have money, but little time left to spend it in. Instead, I parcel out tiny sums to the citizens of Cowgate. Always, I repeat, always to their advantage.
And the child?
My condition leaves me with failing eyesight and a tendency to blackouts, during which I cannot remember or account for my actions. The child was a shock, as was your friend's blow.
You still haven't explained why Jekyll should
Henry Jekyll is only one of the donors to my cause. There are numerous others.
For instance?
Sir James Ransom.
Really?
By all means, go to him and ask if what I say is true.
Oh, don't worry, I will.
In the meantime, here are the certificates of ownership of my company, my birth certificate, my banker's warrant, and my property portfolio. Dr. Jekyll said you would be very thorough.
Thank you. I
can leave them with you for a day or so, but I must have them returned as soon as possible for obvious reasons. Meanwhile, would you please ask Miss Campbell if she would join us? It must be so cold in that cupboard.
Well, aren't you a sharp one?
If you wish to remain undetected, Miss Campbell, best not to wear scent. May I ask, why the gun?
My friend is very precious to me, Mr. Hyde.
I am not a monster. I hope I have gone some way to proving that this evening.
Not to me.
What would it take to prove myself to you?
Where's your stammer? You had a fine stutter this afternoon and not a trace this evening.
It is part of the condition. The drugs help, also confidence.
Aye, you're a very confident man.
So I repeat, what would it take for you to trust me?
Did you give Mother McNair £50 from your precious charity?
Over the months, perhaps, it has amounted to such a sum. She was in dire need.
Not that dire. She has not spent a brass farthing of it. It sits untouched in her teapot.
How she spends the money is no concern of mine. When she repays is between her and me alone. Do you wish me to foreclose on the poor wee lady?
I have an overwhelming desire to punch that smug face of yours, Edward Hyde.
I promise I will give you the opportunity, Miss Campbell. Well, Miss Utterson, am I free to depart?
Yes. Yes, I suppose so. I will look over these papers, and if I'm satisfied, I will notify Henry Jekyll to pick up his notarized will.
Thank you. In the meantime, I have a note for you from Dr. Jekyll.
What does it concern?
How should I know? He is his own man. Ladies.
He's lying. He's lying through his teeth.
Handsome devil, though.
Only a mother could love those hairy hands. Good heavens.
What is it?
Dr. Jekyll requests the pleasure of my company at the Grand Exhibition tomorrow, where he has a proposition to make to me.
I say, who's a lucky girl?
Oh, really, Christabel. Henry Jekyll is as cold as an oyster. Edward Hyde left Utterson's office with an urgent sense of unfinished business, searching Jekyll's memory for an experience he has long lacked the courage to try.
Hello, mister. That's a nice hat.
Thank you.
Don't see many gentlemen down this way.
I don't suppose you do.
Think I can guess why you're here.
Can you?
5 shillings buys you the best night of your life.
Mm-hmm. And how much will it cost me to do whatever the hell I want with you? Well, come on. Name a price.
£50.
Really? Good. Glad to get the preliminaries out of the way.
What do you want to do?
Oh, let's see. I will not know until I have satisfied some immediate urges.
Not here in the street.
And after that, I will trust to my really remarkable imagination.
Stop!
Christabel lives in one of the fine terraces abutting George Square. Having inherited a fortune on the loss of her parents some years previously, she enjoys an independence of spirit available to few women in Edinburgh in these times. She is, in all senses, formidable, which is why her first instincts on seeing a lean, top-hatted figure lounging against the lamppost outside her house were not ones of fear, but of curiosity.
Mr. Hyde?
That's your servant.
The dying man with an itch for philanthropy. And the hairiest hands in Christendom. I didn't believe a bloody word of what you said to my friend.
No.
No one's that philanthropic. Nobody who's dying looks like you do.
You wanted to punch my face. I offer you the opportunity.
Taken. With pleasure.
What a punch. What a woman.
Enough!
May I ask you a question?
No!
Do you have any feelings for Arthur
Kincaid?
I barely know the man!
He wishes to seduce you. I just thought you ought to know.
Get up!
All that is preventing him pressing his suit is that he thinks you prefer the company of women.
How dare you!
He is an extremely wealthy man with whom I could effect an introduction should you... He is not worthy of you. I know Kincaid. He is a coward and a swindler. He would buckle under the kind of pressure you would exert. But not me. Not me.
Let go of my arm!
It's done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As to your friend Lorna Utterson, I told her no more nor less than the truth about myself, with one detail missing.
Which is?
To know that, you will need to dine with me at 10 o'clock tomorrow night at the Café Royal.
Oh, why on earth would I do that?
Because there is one facet of your nature over which you have absolutely no control.
Which is?
Your curiosity.
I don't...
Beautiful eyes. Quite beautiful.
That's enough.
Say, you'll think about it.
I'll...
Good. Good. Good night.
Good night.
Was ever woman in this humour wooed? Was ever woman in this humour won? I'll have her. But I will not keep her long.
I kept my appointment with Henry Jekyll the following day at the newest and grandest building the city can boast, that ludicrous monument to Edinburgh's greed and larceny, the Great Exhibition.
Miss Utterson.
Ah, there you are. I didn't expect to find you in this crush of people.
I had hoped I was clear in my invitation by the Prague violins.
Why does an exhibition designed to celebrate Edinburgh contain Czech violin makers?
For the same reason it has Turkish embroiderers, Italian marble and Caledonian steam engines. As His Royal Highness Prince Albert said himself, this exhibition is designed to bring the world to Edinburgh and Edinburgh to the world. Shall we walk?
Beneath the 120-foot high domed roof, decorated with the signs of the zodiac, 20,000 exhibits are arranged in a hall big enough to accommodate thousands. Or, put another way, to house every homeless person in the land. It is all Ricky's fitting tribute to itself. A huge shed full of stuff.
What's that old building? It looks familiar, but not here, not under this roof.
My dear Miss Utterson, there is an entire street constructed here, exactly as it would have looked in the 16th century. See, the Nether Bow, Market Cross, and the old assembly rooms, complete with their inhabitants, all long gone.
Oh, they're dressed as Elizabethans. How quaint.
But the stonework, the architecture, remarkable, is it not?
All fake.
Yes, I suppose it is.
Pointless, then.
Oh, come. A city lost in time springs to life again. A forgivable masquerade, surely.
A pretense, nothing more. What a waste of effort.
I had no idea you were such a Calvinist, Miss Utterson.
I had no idea you were such a fantasist, Jekyll.
Is that why you trust Hyde?
Isn't fantasy the basis for the creative imagination? Without fantasy, we would not have medicine as we know it today.
Ah, yes, medicine. How many quacks have grown rich from gullible people by using the word medicine?
Sir James Ransom, for instance?
I doubt all his pharmaceutical output is beneficial. Some of it must be no more than a placebo.
And me? What do you think of me? Shall we sit here?
You said in your note that you had a proposition for me. I assume it is not a professional one.
Entirely professional.
Then we should have met at the office.
My profession, not yours.
Well then, I'm listening.
Has your father seen a doctor recently? Miss Utterson?
What are you implying?
Oh, nothing. I merely asked if he
No.
had...
No, he hasn't.
As I thought. Then please listen carefully. From all I observed at that meeting with you, he is suffering from advanced cerebral atherosclerosis, a blockage of the main artery supplying the brain. Has he damaged his left arm?
No, not that I'm aware.
But it hangs loose and he has trouble writing with it, yes?
I write all his papers now.
Probably the result of a minor stroke. How's his memory? You must tell me, Miss Utterson. His life may depend on it.
He has begun living in a fantasy world. He thinks my mother is still alive.
You must persuade him to allow me to make a thorough examination.
He won't.
He must.
What good will it do?
My area of expertise is the mind, Miss Utterson. It may do inestimable good.
You mean you can cure him? Like Hyde's condition?
I may be able to slow the advance of the deterioration. I may even be able to restore some of his cerebral functions. But he must submit to an examination. Do you understand?
He has his pride.
I am his friend. I wish to do all I can for him.
You ask him, then.
With your permission?
You're a strange man, Jekyll. You seem to have grown in confidence recently.
I am buoyed up by the success of my work.
Your stammer is quite gone. You have passion and articulacy.
Thank you, Miss Utterson. A compliment from you, of all people, means a great deal.
Really? From me?
Oh, yes. A great deal.
That night, a thick fog enshrouded the city. A hansom cab drew up at an undistinguished bridge overlooking the rail yards to the east and disgorged a tall, distinguished, silver-haired man.
Miss Utterson!
Over here, Sir Danvers.
My word, what a foul night.
You know Miss Campbell.
Of course. Pleasure to see you, my dear. Although I could wish it were under more convivial circumstances.
Most gallant, Sir Danvers.
Thank you for coming, Sir Danvers.
I came as soon as I received your note. I know something of what has been happening at these yards.
Do you have the court order?
I do. I've long admired your father. If he has chosen this method to prosecute this case, I will do all I can to support him.
My father is not well, sir. Not well at all. So this venture is entirely of my proposing.
I see. Then I am all the more your foot soldier.
Thank you.
I have an eyeglass, sir. Here.
Ah, good.
We have been watching the incline for some while. Look at the train of trucks atop it.
I see four figures on the first truck.
2 of them will descend with it. There is one spot near the exchange building where the truck passes through a pool of light. Please observe most closely as it passes.
One of the figures has jumped.
To set the points for the next truck.
I see the figure still aboard the truck.
How old?
My God. A child.
How old?
No more than 10 years old, probably less. He's jumped clear.
Please give me the glass. Yes. Yellow scarf. Off we go, Lorna.
Do you have a lantern, Sir Danvers?
Here.
Then, please, come with us.
Where are we going?
To fetch our material witness. Our strange trio of Samaritans weaved between the trucks towards the incline.
Miss Utterson.
What is it?
Look. Here. It's blood across this track.
Dear God, they haven't even bothered to clean it up.
There's the boy, making his way back up the incline.
Quickly, before he gets too far.
Hey, boy, over here.
Who are you?
I have a message from your mother.
My mother's dead.
Dear God, your father then.
Hey, where are you going?
The watchman, there.
Leave him to me.
Get off this land. It's private property.
Watch out for that truck, Sir Danvers.
I'll have to warn you.
Drop the cudgel, friend. This gentleman is the law.
How's that wagon boy?
I dropped him in my sleep.
What about your friends? Some of them are not so lucky.
Some aren't so quick.
Was Billy McNair slow?
Billy was all right, just unlucky.
Sir Danvers, do you witness what has occurred here?
With great concern.
Sir Danvers Carew.
Is your employer on the premises?
My employer?
Arthur Kincaid. He owns these yards, doesn't he?
I've never seen him, sir.
No, I'll wager you haven't. Get this to him anyway. It's an order of restraint.
On your feet, Beaky.
Get the children down from there. Send them home.
You can't do that. You're depriving them of their livelihood.
I am a justice of the peace, man, and you are in contravention of the Child Labour Act of 1847. I order these yards closed. Now, be quick about it.
It shocks me to find my own mind capable of imagining such dreadful deeds as Hyde enacts when he is free. He sits firmly on my shoulder, gloating throughout Jekyll's waking hours. Only by good work can I keep him at bay. To that end, I am confident of developing a beneficial compound to treat Arthur Utterson's mental deterioration. I believe I have at last found a fast.
What is it, Paul?
Sir Danvers Carew is here, sir.
Oh, all right.
Jekyll.
Sir Danvers, it's very late.
I need your help. I looked for you at the hospital, but they said you were here.
Working late. What can I do for you?
You are sponsoring one Edward Hyde, are you not?
I know of him.
He's known in the Old Town as the Broker. He claims to lend to the poor at beneficial rates.
Go on.
It's my belief he is buying their children.
Buying?
Miss Utterson has proved the charge. A child was killed at Kincaid's yard, and Hyde paid off the mother. She still has the money but refuses to talk. I have to see Hyde at once. Do you know where he lives?
Oh, see Hyde?
See him at once, tonight, if possible.
He wants to see me.
Well, man, where is he?
Not for us to disappoint the gentleman.
I don't... Good God, what's the matter? Your face, Jekyll. What in God's name is happening to your face? It's melting.
Where's the syringe? Get out, Carew! Get out now!
Oh, but you're... Danvers, this way, sir. Now, if you please. Leave him, sir. Let me deal with him. Jekyll! Out!
As the shaken Carew is escorted away, a lithe figure in clothes too big for him barrels away from Jekyll's laboratory and into the street, putting a coat around his shoulders. He darts through the fog-bound streets, attracting little attention from the cab drivers and pedestrians hurrying home to their beds. Breathless and panic-stricken, he makes for the old town and unlocks a door in a tiny cottage, emerging minutes later with a cash box. Hailing a cab, he orders the driver first to the home of Arthur Kincaid in Hill Street, then to the mansion of Sir James Ransom in George Square. From there, he walks around the corner and knocks on the door of a house not 20 yards away.
Hyde, what do you want?
To see you!
The servants are all in bed. Go away!
I must see you now! I'm going away! Tonight! Please!
Wait there.
Thank God, Christabel. I thought you...
You cross my threshold, I will put a bullet through that foul neck of yours.
I thought...
You thought I was yours for the taking? Beautiful eyes. Yours aren't so bad, but I'm not stepping near that wicked, wicked heart.
Just let me in and...
That poor grieving mother in Cowgate. They're all so desperate, aren't they? And the companies need unskilled labour that won't be missed, don't they? So you make them both the devil's own bargain. You take those poor people's children and set them to work, no questions asked. And if anything goes wrong, they'll be paid off royally. And the broker takes a cut of every transaction. Isn't that right, broker?
Let me in.
Your idea, was it? About as evil a notion as anybody could have, let alone act upon.
I won't wait much longer.
You'll wait until hell freezes over as far as I'm concerned. I'd rather take a cobra to my bed.
Let me in, you filthy whore! Ah!
That's it! Off you go! The next time I won't fire high! Good night, Edward Hyde. Sweet dreams.
And so, I reach the crossroads. To cast in my lot with Jekyll is to die to those appetites which I have long secretly indulged, and have of late begun to pamper. To cast it in with Hyde is to die to 1,000 interests and aspirations, and to become, at a blow and forever, despised and friendless. Strange as my circumstances are, the terms of this debate are as old and commonplace as man, and it falls out with me as it falls with so vast a majority of my fellows, that I choose the better part.
My dear Denman, forgive me writing so urgently and after such a length of time. I have had something of a breakdown, and I beg you, if you love me, to drop whatever work you may be engaged in and take over my affairs and my research, which is at a very delicate stage, as soon as possible.
Good Lord.
I would not ask, but that I am aware of the love and loyalty you bear your old tutor, and feel I can place my trust wholly in your readiness to accede to my request. Forever in your debt, Henry Jekyll.
When did you receive this, Mr. Denman?
4 days ago. I, of course, rushed to comply immediately with my dear friend's request, which seemed from the tone of the letter to be made in the extreme of anguish.
Have you seen him?
No. I have taken over his laboratory and have been left a long list of instructions, but I have no idea where he is.
And Poole?
He hasn't seen him since the night Sir Danvers called.
What do you know of that night, Denman?
Only what Poole told me, sir.
Jekyll had the most dreadful fit that night, a seizure the like of which I've never seen.
Yes, evidently he did indeed suffer an episode, Sir Danvers. Something like a stroke which temporarily disfigured him and could only be halted with the administration of a massive dose of a solution of his own devising. Poole thought it had killed him.
It didn't?
Well, it can't have done. The laboratory was empty on Poole's return, and that letter to me was written the day after.
Dr. Jekyll has been involved with a man named Hyde, who Sir Danvers and I are seeking to bring to justice. I'm sure his breakdown was related to that.
I'm afraid I don't know anything about that. All I know is what is in that letter and on my list of instructions. And to that end, he asked me to give you these.
What are they?
He fervently believes, as do I, that these are the answer to your father's sufferings.
That is impossible.
I've read Jekyll's notes and listened to the recordings. He has developed a formula which will repair damaged or decayed arteries and smooth the flow of blood into the brain.
Good God.
Dr. Jekyll has worked continuously on it for weeks until his breakdown. He considered his research incomplete. The first bottle contains a solution which must be administered intravenously over a period of 2 weeks, a task which I am happy to carry out. The second bottle is a supply of pills which he must take 4 times a day.
I see.
Will your father agree to this regime?
He has become very weak. I think you can persuade him.
Good. Then let us begin. If you would be so good as to show me to him.
Mr. Denman.
Yes, Miss Utterson.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And please thank Dr. Jekyll, should you have reason to write to him. Thank him from the bottom of my heart.
7 days later, after a week of miracles, the Sheriff's Court was packed to capacity for the pre-trial hearing of Arthur Kincaid. After all, he was the first Edinburgh industrialist brought to trial over illegal business practices, let alone the allegation of child exploitation. And, greatest miracle of all, my father was prosecuting counsel.
Mr. Utterson, the accused has entered a plea of not guilty. I have not yet heard compelling evidence from the prosecution that this trial should proceed.
My lord, Billy McNair was 10 years old when employed at Kincaid's Yards through a third party in direct contravention of the child labour laws. He was killed when he fell under the wheels of a descending wagon at those yards due to a combination of fatigue and illness. We have eyewitnesses to that effect. The boy's mother has given a thorough statement concerning the boy's hire and the underhand financial arrangements that took place between her and the man she called the broker.
I would never have believed it possible.
It would seem that I have my father back, Sir Danvers.
The old man's on fire, just like the old days.
Well, he'll have his work cut out with this judge. He'll do everything he can to stop the case coming to trial.
Mr. Kincaid?
I've told you 100 times. The broker wasn't working for me. I never even met him.
My lord, the prosecution has the signed statements of over 30 witnesses willing to testify to the existence of highly organised and clandestine exploitation of child labour at Kincaid's Yards, all facilitated by this broker.
And are all these witnesses inhabitants of Cowgate?
With the exception of Sir Danvers Carew, yes, my lord, but that should not be taken as testament to their characters.
On the contrary, I would have called it most eloquent testament.
That these people find themselves reduced to the slums of the Cowgate, my lord, is not indicative of laxity, lack of intelligence, or criminality. They are creatures of misfortune. My lord, starving, viciously ignorant, I grant you, but no less worthy of justice and the rights of man than anybody in this court.
You are claiming, Mr. Utterson, that they all but sold their children. Is that the action of law-abiding, worthy people?
No, my lord. Desperate people. People with nothing left to lose. People whom this city has left undernourished and uncared for. More than that, vilified, vulnerable to powerful forces who would repress them further. Before today, I would have said it was impossible for these people to be degraded further. But I would be wrong. A wicked mind now exists in our city, a mind capable of such evil as to offer a mother a choice between the safety of her child and the money to feed her family. I call upon the law to expunge such a mind and such an action from its streets.
Ah, well, there's the nub of the problem, eh, Utterson? Whose is this mind?
We have proof that it is one Edward Hyde, my lord, known as the broker.
Can you produce him?
No, my lord.
My lord.
Mr. Kincaid?
I have some information regarding the whereabouts of this Edward Hyde.
Oh, really, Mr. Kincaid?
Why was I not informed of this?
I ask that Sir James Ransom be called.
Ransom?
He is waiting outside, my lord.
Very well. Call him in.
What the hell's he doing here?
I don't like this one bit.
Sir James, you are appearing as a character witness for the defence.
I am, my lord, although I do have new information pertaining to this case.
Very well. Proceed.
About 6 months ago, I was approached by Edward Hyde with an offer to supply manpower to my factories in Dundee and Falkirk. He said he would be solely responsible for the recruitment and payment of these workers and set a figure for his services. I declined this offer.
What?
Judging him to be of bad character, although I heard later that Kincaid had taken him up on his suggestion.
You liar!
Kincaid has, after all, a frankly dangerous working environment at his yards, and it was common knowledge that no Edinburgh man of employment age was willing to work.
This is outrageous!
Silence! Go on, Sir James.
Then yesterday evening, a man was admitted to my hospital, suffering from arsenic poisoning, self-administered. He said his name was Edward Hyde. If you wish to view the body, I can arrange that.
Well, I'll be damned.
That's enough of that, Kincaid. I'll not have such language in my court. Well, did you employ Edward Hyde to supply manpower to your yards?
I did. So did Ransom. So did a dozen others I could name.
My lord, I ask that this case be postponed until a full investigation is made into these claims.
No, Utterson, I'm not going to do that. The law of Scotland will not proceed on the basis of hearsay and baseless accusations. We do have, in my view, sufficient evidence to proceed to trial in the case of Billy McNair, and I order Arthur Kincaid to be held at Calton Jail pending trial in 3 weeks' time. Thank you, Sir James.
You haven't heard the last of this. When you think I'll be your sacrificial lamb, Ransom, you have another thing coming.
Take him down. Mr. Utterson, approach the bench.
My lord, prepare your case with regard only to Arthur Kincaid. If Hyde has indeed perished, he has seemingly taken his knowledge to the grave. And, Mr. Utterson. My lord? I congratulate you on your powers of persuasion and your seemingly miraculous recovery from the march of old age. You must tell me your secret. Oh, there is no secret, my lord. But, yes, miraculous nonetheless.
Jenkins. Mr. Denman? I have Miss Utterson here to identify the body of Edward Hyde.
This way, please.
Now, Lorna, are you sure about this?
I held a conversation with him only a few weeks ago. I have no choice.
I will only uncover the face, but I should warn you it is very disfigured.
Very well. Oh, God. That's horrible.
Well?
I can't tell. There's hardly any of his face left.
Let me look.
That is hardly likely to help.
I stared into those eyes from a distance of 6 inches a few days ago, Mr. Denman.
Really?
Christabel?
Oh, don't ask. No. They're wrong. The eyes are wrong, what's left of them. It's not him.
You're sure?
Absolutely. No doubts at all.
Then we have to tell Sir Danvers Carew. Hyde still lives.
This news cast me down into the pit of despond. I felt powerless and angry. Hyde lived, so all our work was for nothing. I barely noticed as George Denman suggested we walk in Princes Street Gardens. Didn't catch the smile on Christabel's face as he talked, and the growing attraction between them.
Mr. Denman, have you ever wished you were somebody else?
Well, no, I'm perfectly happy as I am.
I often wish I was Christabel.
Me?
Yes, a creature of impulse. Driven by the moment, not by intellect. I cannot do that.
That's why you're a lawyer and I'm merely an adventuress.
I wouldn't say merely, Miss Campbell.
Very gallant, Mr. Denman.
George.
Very gallant, George, but the truth remains, I will never achieve what Lorna has.
Ransom was lying, wasn't he? He knew that wasn't Hyde's body.
Yes. Yes, I think he was.
If I were you, Christabel, I would go up to his house and confront him this instant. Take a gun, if necessary.
And he would give perfectly rational answers to all your accusations and confound you. He would draw a wall of money around himself for protection and deny any knowledge of anything. And there wouldn't be a single thing you or I could do about it.
Is that the end, then? We do nothing?
Oh, no. We fight money with money. Sir Danvers Carew is solidly on our side. Your father can now be relied upon to pursue the case. We must continue to believe in the rule of law.
I can't.
Neither can I.
Then ransom's won. Ladies, the law is all we have, even for those who may consider themselves above the law.
It will not stop Ransom doing as he bloody well pleases. That damnable judge was biased in Kincaid's favour until somebody even more powerful walked into the court.
So, what do you suggest?
I don't know. I don't know.
Can I suggest you go home and rest for a while? You look exhausted.
I am.
I'll go with you.
No, it's all right. I'm not very good company.
A fine lady.
The finest.
There is not a man in Edinburgh to match either of you.
My, George, I pride myself on being able to sniff out honeyed words. Yours actually seem genuine.
They are. The men of this city have reduced their women to slavery, but not you, not either of you.
Lorna is the equal of any man I know.
As are you. You make a formidable couple.
That word again. Formidable. It's used about me all the time.
What's so wrong with that?
That castle is formidable, George. Bare-knuckle boxers are formidable. Not women. Well, not the sort of women I wish to be.
I think you are more than a little in love with Lorna.
Oh, really? And you? Are you just a little in love with her?
I wouldn't say that.
Or even a little in love with me?
Do I have to choose?
Indulge me. Pamper my...
Curiosity.
Oh, God, somebody else said that only recently.
I had said I would go home to rest. I didn't. I didn't want to pace the same few feet of carpet, my thoughts knotting themselves in the same cat's cradle. Where was Hyde? And what of Henry Jekyll?
Thank you, Miss Utterson. A compliment from you, of all people, means a great deal.
Dr. Jekyll has worked continuously on it for weeks until his breakdown. He considered his research incomplete.
Here are the certificates of ownership of my company, my birth certificate, my banker's warrant, and my property portfolio. Dr. Jekyll said you would be very thorough.
I realised with a shock that I cared more deeply for Henry Jekyll's safety than I had ever let myself realise. That there was something in his nature that I wanted to protect. He meant more to me than simply what he'd done for my father. I realised that Jekyll had been wholly admirable except in his dealings with Hyde. And that if he never came back, I would be in a state of grief.
Yes, miss?
Is Mr. Denman with you, Poole?
No, at the moment, ma'am, no. He's been gone all afternoon.
You don't know where, I suppose.
I'm afraid not, ma'am, but you're welcome to come in and wait for him.
Ah, thank you. I've never been here before.
No, ma'am. Dr. Jekyll kept himself very much to himself.
Would it be impertinent of me to ask to see his laboratory?
No, not at all, ma'am. This way.
Doesn't Mr. Denman come here?
Oh, yes, miss. He's been working here most nights, but other than that...
You're on your own.
Yes, miss.
Do you have any idea where your employer might be?
I'll tell you what I think, miss. He's dead. That's what I think. I heard such terrible sounds from here at night when he'd lock himself in. Shrieks and groans, cries and voices. Went on for a week.
Voices? I thought he locked himself in.
It's as if he spoke in different voices, had arguments with himself. Went on for hours sometimes. Set my hair on end to hear him. But I soon learned not to knock and ask if he was all right. He had a terrible temper.
Jekyll?
Aye. When he was behind that door, he screamed and cursed like a madman.
But Jekyll was such a mild-mannered fellow.
can only tell you what I heard, ma'am.
All right, Paul, thank you. You can go. I'll wait for Mr. Denman here.
Aye, you are, miss.
I sat for a while, taking in the dingy, cluttered room with its strange shelves of equipment, books and papers. I lifted the lid of the Edison recording machine, flicked the switch, saw the cylinder carrier turn beneath the waiting stylus. Then, seized with an all-consuming desire for answers, I ransacked the room, pulling open cupboards and drawers. There they were. 3 shelves stacked from top to bottom with wax cylinders, each with a date on the box. The earliest from months before, the last from only a few days before. I carefully took a cylinder from each shelf, opened the earliest, and slid it onto the machine.
My name is Dr. Henry Jekyll, MD, Doctor of Civil Law, LLD, Fellow of the Royal Society.
Turning to the next cylinder, I slid it onto the machine, and immediately heard a voice that chilled me to the bone.
Jekyll, thought I'd leave you a little message. Something for you to find later. You know, I should smash this equipment. All of it. I should put a match to this place and burn it to the ground with Henry Jekyll in it. Then I'd be free. Wouldn't I? So would you. Just like you wanted when you started all this. Here's a question for your research. What part of me wants to reach with a syringe and effect the change? I'll tell you. Not one bit of me. What do I have to look forward to if I do? Nothingness. Ceasing to be. That's it. It's you that wants the change, not me.
Oh my God.
It's your hand that is reaching for the compound and filling the hypodermic. It's you who bears my arm and pushes the needle home. It's you that commits my temporary suicide until you're ready to let your hair down again.
Dear God. No.
Oh, thank God. Thank God. I am returned from hell again. But he laughs at me.
No.
He sits caged inside my form. And he whispers in my ear.
It can't be true.
Christabel!
There you are!
Come here. I thought you weren't coming.
Oh, of course I would come. I wouldn't leave you to face this alone. Are you sure he's in there?
I watched him go in. He hasn't come back out. When we have brought this dreadful business to a close, will you come away with me?
Where?
Europe, Italy.
Yes. Yes, of course.
Good. Then I have the letter of authority from Sir Danvers Carew.
I've sent a note to Lorna to tell her where we are and to come armed.
Very good. Then let us go and see Mr. Kincaid.
Colton Jail sits astride Colton Hill like a medieval palace, a grim fortress, cold, silent and repellent. On the occasions that they hang the inmates, the executions are in full view of those hardy enough to scale the high walls from the hill below. It was in this dreadful place that Arthur Kincaid was held, pending his trial.
You set me up.
A regrettable necessity.
Hung me out to dry to deflect attention from the rest of you.
As I say, you will be amply rewarded, Arthur.
I notice you have taken over the running of Craig Lockhart. Did you arrange for Denniston to fall under that train?
Of course not. What do you take me for?
I wish I knew.
The prison governor has already agreed to you being provided with a better cell on the west side, and I am assured by my friends at the Senate that you will have to serve at most 3 months.
3 months?
At most. Justice must be seen to be done.
I've already lost the yards, swallowed up by the Caledonian. I'll no get those back.
You have a considerable amount in Drysdale Bank, do you not?
That's my business.
Don't play me for a fool, Arthur. It was accounted for in the sequestration order.
What bloody sequestration order?
But I had it annulled from the final tally, and will see it is invested in high-yield bonds.
Will you indeed?
Then, when this business is blown over, I will see that you are recognized in the honours list for your contribution to the wealth of this great city of ours.
You've thought of everything. I'll give you that.
So, I repeat my question. Will you plead guilty as charged and stop this trial going to court?
Not sure he can do that, Sir James.
What the?
Who let you in?
Sir Danvers Carew's authority, signed and sealed. Miss Campbell has you both in her sights and asks for little provocation to pull the trigger.
The pleasure's all mine.
You're making a big mistake, whatever your name is.
Denman. George Denman, recently assistant to Henry Jekyll.
And what do you have to do with this case?
I wish to bring you to justice. You used Edward Hyde, just as Kincaid did. You should, by rights, be languishing in the next cell.
Can you prove it?
By your confession, yes.
Oh dear, Mr. Denman. Then I'm afraid you don't know Edinburgh. Money talks louder here than almost anywhere else in the Empire. We who hold the purse strings do tend to call the tune.
I could always shoot you.
Oh, come, Miss Campbell. Too melodramatic by half. Where would your admirable friend Sir Danvers find the moral flexibility to defend your actions? No, I'm afraid if you wish to ensnare me within the letter of the law, you will have to find a lot more money. Be assured, Mr. Denman, Miss Campbell, I will always walk free, as I intend to do now. My hat, please, Kincaid.
You have balls, Ransom. I'll give you that.
Think about my offer, Arthur. I look forward to hearing from you.
Sir James.
Excuse me.
Sir James, do not ignore me.
Excuse me, my dear. Your gun is blocking the door. Thank you.
Ransom! Ransom!
Good night, Sir James.
Good night.
Wrap up warm, sir. It's cold out there.
I will.
He's getting into his coach.
He is not. He is not.
George? What is it? What's the matter?
He is not getting into that coach.
Oh, my God. Hyde?
Ransom! The hell ain't... Oh, my God! Hyde! Hello, Ransom. Welcome to hell. Your stick, if I may.
What are you doing? No!
No! Oh, Miss Campbell. Surprised to find you so squeamish.
Let go of me!
You will take me to your bed, you know. Here, now, in Sir James's coach.
No! Help me!
Move away, Christabel.
Lorna!
Lorna, no! He's George Denman. He's my...
He's Hyde.
He's Jekyll. He's Hyde. He's George Denman.
I have at last isolated and possessed the better part of myself, the mirror image to Hyde's bestiality. All that is good of Henry Jekyll is what I shall now inhabit, a completely new personality, perhaps even a step in the evolution of humanity, a man who has no dark side. Jekyll will depart, as will Hyde, and George Denman will continue my work, and Utterson and the despised of Cowgate will be the beneficiaries.
He was trying to stop Ransom.
He wanted you, you know. He couldn't have you as Hyde. He got you as Denman.
It was never about me, surely.
I have always loved Lorna Utterson. Perhaps, in the guise of Denman, I can finally win her. But, as with all my experiments, I cannot know how the balance of my desires will shift over time. Hyde may still live on in me, even when I am Denman.
I think he was trying to be good.
The last remaining incalculable is my temperament.
That was the biggest mistake of his life.
For I have sharpened my capacity for evil as Hyde. Which means that Denman cannot afford to lose his temper.
Trying to be more than human.
Look. Look at his face.
And as the rain streamed down upon us, stooped beneath the towering walls of the ancient prison, so that rain seemed somehow suddenly to fall more lightly on the upturned face of Henry Jekyll. For there he lay, just as I remembered him, bearing the bullet wounds I had inflicted on Edward Hyde and George Denman. His face was at peace. Within the temple of his reason, the opposing forces of darkness and light had finally, fatefully ceased to contend. Or so it seemed.
In The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson, dramatised by Neil Brand, Henry Jekyll was played by Stuart McQuarrie, Edward Hyde by John Dougall, Lorna Utterson by Madeline Worrell, Christabel Campbell by Katrina McFarlane, and George Denman by Nick Underwood. Arthur Utterson was played by Hugh Ross, Sir James Ransom by David Stern, Arthur Kincaid by John Bowler, Dr. Craig Denniston by Kenny Blythe, and Sir Danvers Carew by Michael Burtonshaw. Poole was played by Nicholas Murchie, Mr. Cole by Luke McGregor, Mrs. McNair by Karen Barkey, Caroline by Natasha Cowley, and The Boy by Kezia Joseph. The music was by Neil Brand, and the director was David Hunter.